Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob from Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have an interesting review for you. I wanted to review the Urban EDC exclusive, the F5.5. This particular one is the one in Jade G10. That is the clear G10 version. They call it Jade because, you know, the undyed version of G10 kind of has a greenish kind of color. Sometimes it can be a little different tint, but normally it's a little greenish, so they call it a Jade G10 because it looks kind of like jade. Now this is the F5.5. This was an exclusive that they had. They made them in titanium. They had some with micarta and some with the Sagai pattern, and then they had the white, which they call with the white and black. They called that, I believe, they called that the Stormtrooper version. They just came out with a orange and black one, and this Jade G10 that's still for sale on their site. Love this thing. I had really avoided getting this thing for a while because, you know, it was a knife that I wasn't quite into. It was kind of like, I guess I didn't really get into the hype of the knife, if you will. So I kind of thought the knife was, I don't know, not quite my cup of tea. But let's talk a little bit about the knife. All right, so the manufacturer we talked about the designer. I believe it's just, I don't know who the designer was. I think it's just Urban EDC. I think they designed it. I don't know if there was a specific designer for this, so I'm sorry. I really never heard anybody talk about the designer of that. I just know it's an Urban EDC exclusive, so I don't know who made that, but if somebody knows, comment down below. Let me know. Let us know, right? And if I know, I'll put it in the description, certainly. All right, let's talk a little bit about the handle materials. We already talked about this. This is Jade G10, so this is G10 material. It's jade, it's undyed, it's uncolored, it's whatever, but it does have a little bit of texturing. I don't know if you can see that. There's certainly some texturing on there, and it's like nice and chamfered here where the fuller hole or thumb hole, whatever you want to call it is, right? Spidey hole. Everyone calls it something different, right? But that is Jade G10, very smooth, but still has a little texture, which is nice. As far as deployment method, it is a thumb fuller hole opening. This is a M390 blade steel. I don't know if it says it on there. I don't think, yeah, it does. There it is. So it's M390 right there. I don't know if you can see that. M390 blade steel. So that's the steel, and it is, I believe it's black stonewash is what they call this, black stonewash. I don't know if it's Cerakoted or PVD, but it looks like a black stonewash. So I don't know. Typically it, you know, I don't know. To me, this looks like it might be PVD with a stonewash, so I don't know. Next, let's talk about the hardware. So this is a titanium deep milled pocket carry clip. It is we call recessed, not recessed, it is inset, which means it's cut out in the scale, but the screws aren't recessed, but there's plenty of room there, plenty of room to get over, and this clip, you know, even though it goes up kind of high, definitely gives you a lot of room to go in and out of your pocket without any problems. The back spacer is titanium, does have this little lanyard hole that seems to be a priority, so, you know, it's still going to stick out. So if you're into lanyard holes, I mean, lanyard people, you will be happy because that certainly got a priority here, but it's not terrible for those of us who really don't care about lanyard holes. So there you go. Still pretty deep. The liners on this one, because it is a liner lock, are titanium. So this is titanium liner lock, and that means that most likely the liner right here is going to be, I don't think it's a steel insert, it's not, and it's carbidized. So I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if I can get a good enough angle. Carbidized is what you do with titanium so that it doesn't have lock stick, and it's perfect. It's beautiful. There's no lock stick whatsoever on this thing, and the action on this is just buttery smooth. I mean, they just really dialed this in perfectly. And for the fuller thumb, reverse flicking, spidey hole, whatever, it's beautiful. You can both flick it open, both reverse and back. So the buttonhole works really, really, really wonderfully. And so that's how it opens and closes, right? You have the reverse flick, which is a favorite for one of these. And then you have the spidey hole, which is very easy to deploy, both left-handed and, you know, like I just showed you before, right-handed. So that works beautifully. Also, because it's a full flat grind and you get in there, it's very easy to get your finger in there and do a middle finger flick reverse, right? Of course, if you're on camera and you forget, you know, how to do it, you might miss it, but that typically works really nicely for me. All right. So that's kind of how that works. There is some jimping, and the jimping's pretty forward. So when you use the finger choil right there, you can definitely choke up like that. And unless you got gigantic fingers, you know, you should be okay clearing that little choil and sharp part there, so you can still use that for a nice push cut and a precision cut if you had to do that, which is really nice. This kind of follows a sheep's foot kind of a blade. I definitely would say this is a sheep's foot design. Kind of bellies up and curves over in the top. It's not like a reverse Tonto, and it's not a Wharncliffe to me, so I call that a sheep's foot, in my book at least. So that is really nice. Now the cutaway, you can see there's definitely access to get to the liner lock. It's definitely easy to get to with the cutaway here, so you're not trying to get in between the scales. And if you notice right there, there's a slight jimping, but it's not aggressive, it's not uncomfortable, and there is like a little chamfered part on that liner lock as well, so it goes in very comfortably. It doesn't hurt your finger. It's not very you know, it doesn't have a sharp, difficult liner lock to work with, so it works really quite beautifully and gives you just beautiful action. So I like that. That's great. All right, so let's do some measurements real quick. Let's see how much this guy weighs. Okay. All right, so let's see. All right. So this is 3.53 ounces. So it's about 3.5 ounces, 3.53 ounces. That's not bad for a smaller knife like that. Okay, let's do a little bit of a measurement on the length here. All right, so we have a blade that kind of comes short, about 2.75 inches if you go from the tip to the base of the scale there, about 2.57 inches. Cutting edge is going to be about exactly almost, I want to say it's 2.5, maybe 2 and golly, 7/16 or 9/16, maybe 2 and 9/16 of an inch, right? That's going to be the cutting edge, and that holds true, yeah. So about right there. All right, so the overall length of the knife is going to be just under 7 inches. If you go, because of the little lanyard hole, you're right at 7 inches. I mean, if we were to pull that right there, yeah, I think we're right exactly at 7 inches. You might be a hair short. If you go where the finger first comes up here, you've got about 3.5 inches of comfortable grip, so you know, you just have to keep that in mind. But if you use the finger choil, you get about 4.25 inches. So there you go. That's not bad. So 3.5 ounce, 3.53 ounces to about 2.5 inch. It's not perfect ratios, but because, you know, you're choking up on the blade, to me it feels very balanced. Okay, and I think the balance is going to be, yeah, it's going to be right there with that forward choil, or the first kind of finger groove here that you have. So it's very comfortable, feels very nice in the hand. It's very useful. Doesn't feel overly small or heavy for the size of the knife. I do like that. So let's do the blade thickness on this, this knife, and that's the one I think is going to be surprising. Oops, sorry, a little piece of paper flew there. I think I'll make sure we're zeroed in. All right. Okay, there we go. I swear, this thing is just not perfectly zeroed. All right, so we're looking at 0.157. So we're about 158 hundredths of an inch, 158 hundredths of an inch. So it's right between 1/10 and 2/10 of an inch, right in between there. So it's a pretty robust little blade for the size of the knife. This is a pretty robust blade. You can see that looking at that in the back here. And you know, with that beautiful Wharncliffe, comes up to a nice thin, oh, let's see if we can get that focused in. Very thin edge. So it comes down to a beautifully thin edge. So it's a great slicer, and it looks like a full flat grind all the way up to about right here, and then it flattens out over here. But you get a nice full flat grind all the way up to here, which is right around here. So that's where, you know, getting the middle finger in there to reverse flick works really, really great. All right, so what knife category is this? So the knife is going to be about 239 bucks brand new if you get it. Now, I got this on sale. Sometimes if you sign up for Urban EDC and get on their mailing list and bought things from them, sometimes they have flash coupons. And I was fortunate enough to get that on this. So I paid a little less than that. And I'm not going to tell you, you know, that's going to happen for you, but excuse me, it could. So sign up for them. Sign up for Urban EDC. Definitely get on their mailing list. But normally $239, which I think is a great buy. And the reason why I never got it was because I thought single deployment, I wasn't going to be really, really excited about that. I thought that would be too much. But after I discovered how well it worked and how nicely it worked, for the discounted price. I wish I'd gotten the titanium Sagai pattern one. I think it would have been a beautiful, fun knife to have. So, you know, maybe I'll consider that down the road or something, but great little knife here. All right, so I would say it's a regular knife. It's not a high-end knife, definitely in a regular category. The purpose, definitely everyday EDC. Oops, let's try that again. Everyday EDC. This is definitely a carry for all day long, and it's a great work knife. And I don't know if you can see, I think I have some scuff marks from using it, cutting boxes. Oh, maybe I wiped it off. But it was, you know, definitely a used knife, and I use it quite a bit. Sorry, it's a little late tonight, and I'm having yawns. So that's crazy. All right, so great everyday carry, really purposefully built. I mean, you can do push cuts, precision cuts. It holds an edge really nice, strops up on the leather strop really wonderfully, keeps that beautiful edge and sharpness on there, which is nice. You know, you can definitely easily strop that wonderful edge. It was ground pretty well too, very balanced edge on both sides, which was, it's always nice to see that when they do that well. So it definitely can use that for a workhorse kind of knife. I think it works great as a workhorse knife. I mean, it's got a fairly strong liner lock in there if you look at that thickness. I mean, that's, ironically enough, I think it's thicker than some of the frame locks. And everyone looks at frame locks and they typically go, oh, the frame lock, it's so thick and everything. So like if you come over here, you look at this one right here, you'll notice right there that that thinness right there is pretty close to the thickness of a liner lock. So frame locks are always only as strong as they are in their weakest point, and that's going to be the cutout part. So frame lock, liner lock are very similar. I don't know if you've ever thought of that, but they really are in strength-wise. It gives you a better contact point because it's a little bit bigger, right? So, I mean, there's some benefit there maybe, but then there's also, with the more contact point, does that then give you more pressure to put into a thinner edge? So, you know, you can talk about pounds per square inch getting it. There's a whole bunch of different physics, right, involved we could talk about, and I don't want to bore everyone to death, but there's benefits in both. One is really more or less as a design and an aesthetic to me. I think they're both great types of locks for the knife. All right, so what about the ergos and feel? Well, the handle design is fantastic. Everything is chamfered really, really nicely, even for this JG10, and I believe it is on the titanium and the micarta versions. Really easy access for the thumb. This cutout right here gives you straight access to get in there for an easy flick, and also for reverse flick. Works really great both ways if you want to do left-handed over here and forward flick like that as well. So that's really nice. And the handle has a beautiful, like I said, cutout for the titanium deep pocket carry clip here. Even though they're not recessed, still plenty of access there, so that's really, really nice. Deployment design, the jimping thumb studs, we've already talked a little bit about that. I think there's no thumb studs here. There's a nice thumb hole, fuller hole, whatever you want to call it. Some nice jimping for choking up and really precision there. And this is chamfered, but it's not so sharp that it's going to cut you every time, but it's enough that you give good traction. You can use your nail, oops, if you get it in there, use your nail to reverse flick. You can use the meat of your finger to reverse flick. Both of them work really, really nicely, I think. So there's that. I think it's great. Closing design, they got this down because when you drop it, it just buttery smooth close. It really has a smooth close. There's no grittiness to the cage ceramic ball bearings in there. It's very smooth. Sometimes you'll hear it kind of be a little gritty, because the ball bearings aren't necessarily uniform in size, so sometimes it'll be a little gritty, and it could be the part where the washers are rolling against where the cutout of the blade, and maybe the washers that they put in there, it's not perfectly level, so you can hear little variances and makes it, you know, more gritty, if you will. And sometimes it's just dirty. Oh, sorry guys, that's my third yawn there. All right, so closing design, beautiful, wonderful, drops beautifully. Now, one thing I do like is because it's got the finger choil, it drops really safely right here. It's not going to cut my hand, my finger, I have a few knives that, you know, if I miss this little part right here and it comes here, it's going to cut right into my finger. You can see I actually have I'm healing here from another knife that got me. And it's a knife that's got me a few times. And I love that knife. I want to keep that knife, but it has gotten me a few times. And, you know, depending on if I can figure it out and if it keeps getting me, I may sell it. I don't know. Because there comes to a point where I don't like getting cut repeatedly by a knife because I can't figure out the right way to handle it. But when the design is so nice that it's, you know, almost idiot proof, and I guess sometimes I need an idiot proof knife because maybe I'm kind of an idiot, I don't know. That would be nice, right? So I like that. Fidget factor, it's off the wall. I mean, now you have really,
you have three deployment methods, right? And it is going to be the regular thumb hole, finger hole, spidey hole with the thumb here, the middle finger, reverse flick right there, works really beautifully. And then because the flat grind, you can get in here and you can reverse flick it with the flat part of the blade right here. So I have three kind of ways to deploy, but I'll tell you what, they're very satisfying. So I think the max score, because I got to look at other knives that have way more deployment options, way more things that you can do with it, I'm going to give this an possibly 7.5 out of 10 as the max that you can get. 7.5 for fidget factor is the best you could score. It's going to get full 7.5 out of 7.5. So, you know, it's 100% as far as what it's capable of fidgeting with. To me, it's just fantastic. Excuse me. I love this thing. It is just fun to fidget with, and I can fidget this all day long. And you know what's nice? As I fidget with this all day long, it doesn't make my fingers tired, sore, or anything. It doesn't get this, because of the cutout. It's just beautiful. Just drops right in there. It drops down really nicely. It's just fun to do, and it's fun to fidget both left-handed and right-handed. That really makes the knife just a bit more fun, more enjoyable. So I'm definitely gonna give it best score you can get out of what it's capable of fidgeting. So I think it's 7.5 is the max fidget you can get out of this knife, and I'm gonna give it all 7.5 points. I think it's great. So I think it's recommended. This is a highly recommended knife in the JG10, and if you get a discount, even more so. It's a steal because of everything you get with the, you know, titanium backspace or titanium clip, titanium liners, M390 blade steel, beautifully black coated. I think it's, I don't know if it's Cerakoted, but you know, stone washed, beautiful JG10. Or you can get one of the colored ones, or you can get one of the micarta or the, you know, titanium. I know they have different variants coming out all the time. So definitely highly recommend it for what you get in this knife. I think it's a steal. I think it's a great knife. Good budget. So I would highly encourage you to check this one out. Give it a whirl. If you get a chance to get a hold of it, I'll put the links down below for Urban EDC. That's where you can get this. Really neat knife. If you haven't already checked it out, please do. Don't be like me. Don't miss out on it. And then when you finally get it, you're like, oh man, this is really good. Wow. You know, and it really is. It's a fantastic knife. Highly recommend this little guy. So that is the Urban EDC F5.5, and this is in the JG10 scales and M390 blade steel, black stone washed. So beautiful little knife. Highly recommend it. Hey, if you found this content fun, interesting, or worthwhile, would you please consider liking this video? I really would appreciate that. And if you've already liked the video, would you consider subscribing to the channel for more content? Hey, and then if you've done all that, maybe click on the notification button as well down below so you can be notified of future content. And if you've done all that, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Hey, thanks so much for watching this review today, and have a great day and a great week. Bye.